How are we doing, everyone, and welcome to my week 5 match from the VDL. My name is Sam, I also go by VGC, and today we are taking on the Kildare Krookodiles. My apologies if my voice is a bit quieter and less animated than normal, but it is about 5:30 in the morning here and my girlfriend is asleep and I'm trying not to wake up my older dog. Had to get up to give the puppy some food, so thought I'd do this. As you can see, it's kind of a short video. You'll see why soon, but that's why I thought I could squeeze in this commentary now. So yeah, we've not had a great start to the season. We've had a couple of really close matches that haven't quite swung our way against some very good opponents, and I'm hoping and I'm pretty sure we can bring this back in the latter half of the season, but we shall see. So this is the first week I've had full time to prep, like really good time to prep, and this is the team we brought. The basic idea is that it is a trick room team, and with a Terrakion in the back to sweep in case I'm unable to get past the Magna Zone. The idea with this team is basically to use a combination of Togedemaru and Mr. RIME up front to set up Trick Room, and then try and sweep with Mr. RIME itself, and then also Weezing and Rotom in the back. But interestingly, I'm actually trading both Wigglytuff and Rotom this week, but I brought them along because they kind of help in this matchup. Even though I could have used other Pokemon, I thought I'd bring them, get some use out of them, and also kind of sneakily, I figured my opponent may not suspect that they were coming. So yeah, I actually didn't bring Wigglytuff obviously in this game, but I did bring the Rotom, and for good reason, because it kind of walls a few of his threats. But yeah, basically the Togedemaru is room service, meaning that before Trick Room it's faster than Pelipper, and it's designed to be after Trick Room slower than Pelipper, so meaning that I can be flexible on the rain lead turn 1, and if it's not a rain lead I can be faster than Ludicolo as well, which was, yeah, it was nice to actually have some calcs and like have some prep behind me. So my opponent sent out Jinx and Zapdos, which was a pretty comfortable lead for me, because it meant I get to find out game 1 whether or not this Jinx is scarfed or whether or not it's got fake out. I know in the past my opponent has used a Scarf Jinx, so yeah, I wanted to find that out. So I click Trick Room with Mr. Mime, and I just go straight for a fake out with the Togedemaru into the Jinx slot, meaning that it can't use anything like Lovely Kiss or anything like that. I also know from my calcs that the Zapdos, unless it's adamant and got an attack boosting item, cannot KO my Mr. Mime, even if it crits a Blaze Kick or a Throat Chop. So yeah, I go for the fake out. That lands into the Jinx and does a really big chunk of damage actually already, and the Zapdos goes for a Thunderous Kick, which does a lot of damage to my Togedemaru, but thankfully I am sturdy this week. I didn't really see the need for Lightning Rod. It crit, but that doesn't matter. I have got some HP in this Togedemaru, but I'm never surviving that, so it doesn't really matter too much. I then am able to get off the Trick Room with Mr. Rhyme, and I know from this point I'm in a pretty solid position. The room service triggers with Togedemaru, which means that he is now going to be slower and thereby faster than my two opponents' Pokemon. Obviously, again, in this instance, it didn't matter too much. I went for Psyshock on the Mr. Rhyme because, again, from watching a couple of my opponent's matches, I know he's used Assault Vest Zapdos in the past. I didn't know if it was going to be this week, but yes, that's why I went for Psyshock. I lose out on a little bit of damage, but mean that I can always guarantee to do big damage with the Zapdos. Ironhead also comes out into the Jinx and takes it out with a pretty clean KO. Putting me 1-0 up, and my opponent goes for a Thunderous Kick, this time into the Mr. Rhyme slot, which does a big chunk of damage, actually more than I was expecting from my calcs. I don't know if I got it wrong or he's just a more offensive. I think he must be an Adamant Zapdos with Choice Scarf at this point, at least that's what I'm thinking. My Citrus Berry brings me back to just below half health, but with the defense drop I know I'm not going to be living too many attacks now, unfortunately. So my opponent takes a little bit of time to think here and then sends out his Pelipper. The Pokemon I'm most scared of at this point is the Doug Trio because of its Sucker Punch. But I figure now, seeing that the Pelipper is the Pokemon that's come out, I can probably expect a Ludicolo in the back. I don't really think my opponent would bring Pelipper and not bring Ludicolo. So I prep just for this, and I go for a Freeze Dry. Well, I have the ability to go for a Freeze Dry anyway, which obviously hits both Pelipper and the Ludicolo for super effective damage. I take a little bit of time to think, because I realise here that the Zapdos is actually the thing that I need to I can leave on the field, because I kind of wall it with both Weezing and the and the Rotom, so I figure it's safe to go this way in case there is a Dugtrio. I will get some damage into it and break a sash if it comes in the Pelipper slot, like baiting an electric move. As it is, he does go for the switch to Ludicolo, and we do take it out with a freeze dry, which is very, very nice indeed. And then Togedemaru is able to take out the Zapdos with a Zing Zap, which is really, really nice, and puts me in obviously a very commanding position for the rest of this game. And I think also sometimes I think when your opponent kind of when you're playing a match and you're 2 or 3-0 down on Pokemon sort of this early, it does kind of feel like I'm not quite sure where, I've been in that position before this season where when game one just does not go how you expect. It kind of puts the pressure back on your opponent. So here I go for a Psyshock, knowing that it won't KO the Pelipper, because I just want to see if it's carrying the Electric Berry. Because I haven't got complete attack investment in Togedemaru. I actually learned through this that the Pelipper is slower than my Togedemaru even after a -1 speed drop, which is really interesting. I do go for Zing Zap. There is no Electric Berry. What's the Electric Berry called? Is it the Wakan Berry? I never remember what any of these stupid berries are called. But anyway, Pelipper goes down, and we take game 1 4-0. Which was really, really nice. I didn't have to reveal either of my Pokemon in the back, but I also know that my opponent is almost certainly going to be making an adjustment. However, what this does is gives me a game's worth of freedom to see if the team composition I used in this match will allow me to beat the Magnezone if he does bring it, which I'm pretty sure he's going to, and I'm pretty sure the Dugtrio has to come as well. Like there's no way that he could bring that same team comp again and win. So I figure there's going to be an adjustment, but my kind of philosophy at this point of the game is I'm not going to adjust. I'm going to use the same team again. He hasn't seen what I've got in the back, so I feel fairly safe bringing that same team. When I was thinking about the prep, the Dugtrio was one of the biggest issues because of that Sucker Punch, and because it's almost always going to be Sash when you're using a Dugtrio, so it just became very, very difficult to play around. Like I'd often feel like I could play myself into a decent position, but knowing that a Sucker Punch would take me out, so I wasn't thrilled to see it come. But this also meant that I had a guaranteed way to get up Trick Room. There's not a single chance that my opponent can stop my Trick Room at this stage. Neither of these Pokemon, well, actually it's not true. Dugtrio can KO Mr. RIME with a critical hit Iron Head, but obviously I can fake it out, and that thereby will break the Sash, which is very nice, and also means that it can't attack this turn. Its Tangling Hair lowers my Togedemaru speed, which is brilliant, and the Zapdos goes for a Thunderous Kick. Now, the correct play, I think, for my opponent here is go for a Thunderous Kick into Mr. RIME to get the defense drop. You're then able to Sucker Punch me in the second turn, meaning that I'm under a lot more pressure, and I'm unable to play around that, if you see what I mean. So if I'm at -1 defense and Sucker Punch, there is potential for it to KO. It doesn't KO from like over half health, but obviously in this instance, as we know from game 1, like Thunderous Kick puts me below half even after the citrus recovery, and at -1 defense a Sucker Punch will take me out. So I'm pretty pleased that Togedemaru was the targeted Pokemon here. At this stage I figure there's a good chance that Togedemaru is going to get Sucker Punched at 1 HP. Yeah, it seems like a pretty likely scenario, so I decided to switch out to Rotom, also because Rotom can take any attacks that this Super throw at it. It's pretty bulky, and also has enough damage to OHKO the Zapdos here. My opponent switched out the Magnezone, which I figured could happen. However, I know he's run Earthquake on the Dugtrio in the past, and so I figured an Earthquake would be unlikely. He does switch into the Magnezone, and I do target it, which means that obviously Rotom survives with the Levitate, which means he actually takes out his own Magnezone here, which I don't know if that was a misclick or whether he figured maybe I wouldn't attack the Magnezone, and so his Sturdy would keep him alive, and then he would be able to sweep me afterwards with Magnezone, which is possible because it's an extremely powerful Pokemon and it would be the slowest Pokemon on the field, so that would make sense. But I did get the chip onto the Magnezone, and yeah, at this point it's game over now with no Magnezone in the back, and I've still got 3 turns of Trick Room left with Rotom on the field who can one-shot the Dog Trio, or the Zapdos if it's not Assault Vest. So yeah, I'm in a very commanding position, and yeah, my opponent forfeits the battle there. So thank you very much to the Kildare Krookodiles for the game. Thank you to Oscar, and yeah, hopefully I can see you next week, guys, and we can carry on building on this little mini recovery that we've got going on. Have a great week, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.